Thank you. My name's James Trice, and I live right off the 157 Bluff Road area there. And my land is in between, let me put it like this, right behind the Home Depot, Walmart, and in between Main Street, where all the farmland is. I do know that the farmland is primary up for auctions, or they want somebody to buy that area. So with what we're talking here, would this,
Let me go back to that map, so.
yes, sir, right there in the brown area, probably where my residence would be
Oh,
at.
up here?
Yes. How would that,
Not the right map? Oops.
I can't see where you're at.
The
It's-
mag
There we go.
I'm gonna say, I didn't think that was anywhere near Home Depot.
No, the Home Depot is up in
It's
that
up in
area.
here,
Yes, sir.
right.
Okay, now you come a little bit down from that, south of that is
Sorry.
where my home is located at.
Oh, okay, in this
How
area.
does that fit into this, far as, would they be buying the land with the TIF all around that and putting us in the middle of that for commercial, or?
Well, as I said before, there isn't a developer here or some end user standing in line. So the answer to that is, I don't know. Under the umbrella of this plan, someone could acquire those properties, and as a part of the acquisition, use TIF dollars to buy the land. But there isn't anything out there at this point that would have that happen.
Okay, so first of all, the vote would have to go through to approve the TIF, right?
Yes, and then any party who would step up to develop that, or to develop the land on the other side of you, as you point out, on the south side.
Correct.
Would have to come talk to you and make you an offer, just
Okay, all right,
just like any other land transaction.
thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone else from the north?
My name is Larry Haynes, and my property runs along 157, just south of Ostel Drive. And when this TIF comes in, does that automatically mean our property's going to get rezoned from residential to commercial? It doesn't mean that.
No.
No.
So if we was to negotiate a contract, it would still have to be under a residential?
Your zoning will not change.
Your zoning wouldn't change.
But the TIF is going to help somebody buy the land? Is that what the deal is?
If the city approves the project, yes.
Okay, so
It's not automatic.
what I'm getting at is, can I sell it commercial, or do I sell it residential, and the guy that buys it's got to come down and talk to you, and he takes it into commercial?
The property would be sold based on its current zoning district, but you as a landowner, when you're negotiating that sale, it's consistent with the future land use plan, the comprehensive plan, and the TIF. So as a property owner, you would probably be negotiating that sale commercially, although it's residentially zoned. So there's no proactive zoning changes. All the existing zoning will remain in place until somebody has a project and has your property under contract.
To make me an offer?
Under contract.
Okay,
yes.
then this TIF is actually going to help the developer, and actually probably help me in the long run sell the property, but it's really
Well-
going to help the developer develop it into a commercial.
Because a developer, the answer to your question, and I don't know which house you are in there, but
Yeah.
let's create a scenario. Let's say a developer comes along and he wants to build something, and obviously if it's commercial, he's gonna want more than your house.
Oh, sure.
So he'd make offers to everybody based on the commercial use of the property.
Okay.
Now, that's a benefit to you.
Right.
Because it's worth more commercially than
True.
it is residentially.
Okay,
But that's, as Mitch pointed out, separate and apart from the zoning.
right. But,
He has to be wanting it because it has commercial, it has a commercial future, not what it is today.
well, what I'm asking is, once it's sold, is he gonna have trouble coming down and say he's got something that looks good, a restaurant or whatever it is he gonna have a lot of trouble coming down and talking to you to get it rezoned back to, commercial or,
He'll have to go through the same rezoning and,
okay,
uh,
So he's
site
got a
plan
good
process
chance of getting
everybody
it
else
done.
would. Yeah, there's a regulatory approval
Okay.
process everybody will still have to go
All
through.
right.
It doesn't change the
Right.
existing classification.
so
of
what this
property.
does better than what the old one did, we have a right to negotiate. With the old one, we kinda had our hands tied when this come up in 2008. This seems to be a better program than the old one was.
Yeah, the one thing I think that I want to clarify is property acquisition is an eligible expense under TIF. And so it would help them put property together for projects, which is usually one of the problems in a TIF area. And yes, it doesn't change anything. They would have to go through a process, so they would have to get the landowners under contract and go through a project for rezoning and a whole site development process that's separate of that. But yeah, it doesn't change any zoning. Your zoning, if you're residential, you'll stay residential until you've either sold the property or you've contracted with somebody and allowed them the ability to change your zoning designation.
Okay, say that we don't negotiate a contract with anybody, can we still live on a property for now
Yes. Yes.
Whatever.
Okay, okay.
Yes.
We're
You'll
not forced
notice,
to move.
just as a point, this is not a zoning map. This is a land use plan map. But this redevelopment plan, as you'll notice, shows that area as commercial.
Right, that's what I was
So
wondering.
it won't change the zoning, but what it will do is provide a basis for somebody to come forward
Sure.
with the project and then bring it to the city to have it rezoned.
Yeah,
But this
okay.
does not rezone.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else from the north side?
I can defer to anybody that's a property owner that has business there before I speak, but I'm happy to speak now if you'd like.
Go ahead.
Should go back to the other map.
My name is Joe Ashman. I've addressed the city council and the joint group people before. TIF districts are an example of corporate welfare at its best. If you were to take a look at the expenditures from the TIF fund, it would sicken you. It should be mandatory reading for taxpayers. You learn that you have a downtown manager and an economic developer making salaries that are obscene right out of your TIF funds. To manage a downtown booze and sandwich area and to play Santa Claus with hogs lined up at the trough with the next district. Our council just passed $1 million water increase and another $1 million utility tax and are poised to pass this TIF district without firing a shot. A word about marketing strategy in 2016 as opposed to when I was involved in marketing strategy. When our first chain drugstore came to town, those people knew the number of prescriptions Ashman's filled, the name and number of the pharmaceuticals in them, as well as the total inventory, the store hours, and the receipts. And you say, Joe, what's your point? Let me tell you, in 2016, these people know their stuff and they make the people of my time look like pikers. Do you think for 1 minute that these corporate welfares that are already lined up don't know market share and would have busted in here in this economic corridor down there if they didn't know the strategy? But here's what they're doing. They're waiting to see how many millions in this new flush fund will our economic developer, Santa Claus, have to give them. In my opinion, taxpayer money should not be used to fund private enterprise. Think Stan Kroenke. I skipped the joint council meeting because Mr. Green, Mr. Terry Bones Allen, and Cord have heard my opinion. And I always try to be a positive person, but quite frankly, I have a hard time being positive about something when the state of California eliminated all of their districts. In closing, I would like Collinsville residents to look at the structure and the cost of the house on the old dress factory property. And I rest my case by saying that we should dig a hole, big one, shove that house in it, and put a sign on it saying, "Rest in peace." This is the best example of why we don't want another TIF district. Thank you very much.
Thank you for your comments. Anyone else from the north? Go ahead.
Good evening. My name is Andrew Esping, and tonight we are here because we are faced with a question that has been presented to Americans since the end of the Revolutionary War. We have a problem, and in this case, we have areas of the city that are blighted. So the question is, how do we fix the problem? What solutions do we have at our disposal to solve the issue? The answer that is being offered by the City of Collinsville government is government intervention. How do we fix rundown areas of the city? By having the government subsidize growth. By having the government pick winners and losers. Government programs are the solution to our problems. That's not only the approach that's being offered here tonight, but that's the approach that the state of Illinois and its 6,963 units of local government have been using for decades. And how well is that working? Is Illinois flourishing at the hands of government-provided solutions? No one in his or her right mind would say that Illinois is flourishing. According to the U.S. Census Bureau, our state loses taxpayers to outbound migration at 1 every 5 minutes. That's 12 taxpayers gone every hour, and 288 taxpayers leaving the state every single day. And to solve that problem, specifically here in Collinsville, the city thinks it should dive deeper into the pocketbooks of taxpayers, that it must continue to grow its funds and its resources at the expense of what really makes this city great, its people. The whole concept of American freedom and the ability to pursue the American dream is that it is the responsibility of the individual to define and pursue his or her dream as he or she wishes. And the consequence of those actions, whether they be good or bad, are on the shoulders of those individuals. If a business makes an unwise choice as to where that business resides, or what the cosmetic appearance is of that business, whose fault is that? Why should the citizens of the taxpayers of Collinsville be punished for the bad decisions of others? I was under the impression that the individual decided what was blighted by their own standards, that individuals decided what to do with their own capital, with their own resources, and that it was individuals who reaped the consequences of those ventures, whether they were good or bad. As with all government programs in the history of ever, this will fail. And when it fails, the blame will be placed on anything but the government itself. There wasn't enough revenue. The TIF recipients didn't hold up their end of the bargain. And the answer to this failed government program will be a larger government program that will dig even deeper into the hands of taxpayers' wallets. But the cry of 1776 will not be diminished. The people will speak out. They will rise up to defend themselves from a local government run amok. And more of these people in Collinsville have been standing up. They have been standing up for themselves and the ability to govern themselves as they see fit, to pursue the American dream as they wish. And this is only the beginning. Thank you.
Thank you for your comment. Is there anyone else from the north? Go ahead.
Hi, my name is Joanne Sapienza, and I own property in the area down on Plainview. And we have been before the city council before regarding this. And I think as Mr. Haynes questioned you, he was trying to clarify certain things about exactly how this was going to benefit us as opposed to the developer. I don't think a lot of people understand eminent domain, and although the city has continuously promised that they will not use eminent domain to take our property, the way that they get around that is once the developer comes in and promises the city, if we can, you know, we get this land, we're gonna bring all this tax revenue, we're gonna do all this for this. What it really is basically doing is it's taking your right as an individual, a homeowner, and giving it away to the developer. The city may not impose the eminent domain, but the developers have that right to do that. So that's where sometimes on the back end, you're not seeing that. And I think that's a concern for all of us. I don't want somebody saying, well, you know, if you're, you know, you've got to get out because we've got all these other people here. And like Mr. Haynes said, he's wondering, well, is this a better deal for us because we can negotiate, you know, as commercial property? Well, of course you can say, well, sure, you can do whatever you want, Mr. Haynes. You can negotiate with a developer. We've always had that right, so that's not a right that you're giving us, and we do understand that. But what I want to make sure that some of the residents understand is that, yes, we're probably not ever going to be able to stop the area that they're going to want to include in this, but please take the time to find out exactly how it works and who really benefits from this. Because, once again, the developers are going to tell you, well, I'm not going to pay you commercial property. It's only worth this. Look at it. And all this time while we're in this area, our property values have gone down. So we're not going to get that much out of it anyway. So those are the things you need to really investigate before you agree to go ahead and say, oh, yes, the city's going to watch out for us. Because right at this point, the city is not watching out for you. We have to look out for ourselves, be informed, and know. If you want commercial value for your house, you hold out and you make the deal. If the developer wants it, then he'll pay it. If not, then hopefully he'll move along. If that's where you want to stay, or if you want to make the deal, you make the deal. It should be your decision. No way should the city ever facilitate and say, they're listening to the developer and the one ear saying, well, if you'll let us do this, we're going to bring revenue, we're going to do all this for the city. They're not doing anything. They come in, they do the land grab, they build, they sell, and they move. And we're stuck here. So that is not fair. I just really would like everyone to take the time to investigate it a little further and really see how it's going to benefit you. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone else from the north?
We need to remind people to hold your applause. We have a lot of people that wish to speak tonight, and if we applaud everyone, it's going to take a little bit longer to get through everyone. And also, please make sure that you use the mic. We have an overflow room, and they're having problems hearing you if you don't use the mic. Thank you.
Question, is this a publicly announced meeting?
It's a public meeting.
Public announced? Because at the end of the rules, it said that if it's a public announced meeting, all rules are off limits.
The rules
It talks
say
about
if it's a public
The
hearing.
rules talk about public hearing. This is a public meeting, not a hearing.
Please go ahead, I'm sorry.
Hi, Gary Kuzmerzak, 303 Dana. I don't have any confidence in the City Council as far as handling their TIF districts. TIF 1 has been extended 12 years past its original 23-year life. And when you look at some of the expenditures that the city has spent money on, it makes you wonder, what rules are they following? When I look at something like, the money they spent on the dog park, the $2.3 million spent on the Collins House, building signs in the middle of town rather than the outskirts of town to announce that you're entering the city of Collinsville. And then the ugly-ass sculpture of Game of Thrones and Stalag 17 with the fake horseradish plant is just abysmal. Makes you wonder who came up with that design, because it was poorly executed, and you would think that if you're going to showcase your community, you'd have a better sense of art and taste. And I just don't see, if we go with TIF 4, how it's really going to benefit the community. Thank you.
Thank you for your comment. Anyone else from the north?
Good evening. I'm Wendy Valenti, the Executive Director of the Collinsville Chamber of Commerce. And as you probably already know, the Collinsville Chamber of Commerce supports the proposed TIF. In the past, we've shared with you some reasons that it's needed, so I would like to take this time to share with you some suggestions that could be implemented along with the TIF that will mitigate some of the concerns of the proposed district. As you know, tax increment financing is a tool. It's not inherently good or bad. There are municipalities that utilize TIF well and those that utilize it poorly. TIF is a powerful tool, and so the temptation to use TIF when it's not warranted or feasible is strong, and communities do misuse it. The challenge is to implement a TIF in a way that is most beneficial to the whole community. So some of the concerns: TIF does not benefit the community. My suggestion: to develop a list of criteria that prioritizes projects that create the most community benefit. Projects that create jobs, improve infrastructure, generate sales tax, attract visitors, increase property values, entice new residents to relocate here, and creates an environment that keeps families in our community. Second concern, that TIF benefits big box or large developers. My suggestion is to adopt a tailored list of criteria and/or an application process that is aimed at small business development, similar to that is uptown. Third concern, that TIF lacks oversight and transparency. My suggestion is to create an oversight commission representative of the district to help develop criteria, review projects, advise council on priorities. This also creates an ongoing forum where the public can voice their concerns. Concern that TIF creates net increase on taxes. My suggestion on this is that the city, right now, prepare a baseline study that can be used to measure the impact at a future time. This needs to include sales tax revenue, hotel tax, income tax revenue. Property tax alone is just one aspect of the big picture and should not be the sole measurement of success, especially with regard to the proposed TIF that has so much potential with regard to building tourism revenue. Another concern, that TIF takes money away from the school district and other taxing bodies. I have a couple of suggestions with regard to this. First, I guess most specifically with regard to the school district in particular, I think that projects need to be evaluated individually based on their community impact, and not solely on the return of property taxes. So projects by other taxing bodies should be considered, and a moratorium on that is bad policy. My second suggestion with regard to this concern is a new perspective. This is a business investment, and all of the taxing bodies are business partners. So the cost is spread amongst all the partners, but the return on the investment will come in the long run. We shouldn't have disputes among taxing bodies because we're all on the same team. The competition is that other community that will attract the project that's the economic driver. It's that other community that will benefit from the tourism revenue that visitors to Collinsville attractions will spend because those visitors got back on the interstate. The competition is that other community that's more aesthetically attractive and convinces Collinsville natives to relocate there for a better life. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments. Is there anyone else from the north?
I'm Ron Shambaugh. I'm president of Home Federal Savings and Loan here in Collinsville and a resident of Collinsville. And I'm also on the chamber board. And I'd like to reinforce Wendy's statement that the chamber is in full support of the TIF district, and that I think that it would do a lot of good to the community to continue to promote development and expansion and improvement of those properties in those areas. So, thank you.
Thank you for your comment. Anyone else from the north? No?
Good evening, thank you. My name is Chris McCluskey, and I'm president of Chiropractic Works. We've been fortunate enough to build one of the nation's busiest family-based wellness centers here in Collinsville. I've been here for about 10 years, and I've been very busy quietly building our business, and that's resulted in us helping, I think I calculated today, over 125,000 patient visits to our office, many of whom are Collinsville citizens. I have 3 children in the Collinsville School District. My wife was born and raised in Collinsville. We have family members who've actually sat on the council, been involved in the development of the Italian Fest, so I've been aware of a lot of the happenings in Collinsville, but I've never been too involved. My grandfather was a mayor of our town growing up, so I've always at least paid attention to what was going on. And you know, when I found out that things were sort of going this direction, I just felt it important for everybody to know that there is a younger group of people, visionaries, business leaders, who are truth seekers. You know, we want to make our community better for our children and to take care of our residents as they age, because that's going to be our responsibility as well. And I just think it's important. I'm not here to support nor negate the actual TIF situation, but what I am here to do is encourage you all to have an open mind and to understand that, you know, the way that we've always done business isn't exactly the way that we need to do business in the future, because quite frankly we're getting outpaced. I've seen many of my peers leave Collinsville, quite frankly. I've been under a lot of pressure to move my business to the north, to the east, if you will. And, you know, currently I'm dedicated to Collinsville. And I just feel like that it's no longer time to remain silent. It's time to take action and to begin to meet with other members of our community, sort of in my generation, learn from our elders, but pave a way for our future. So I just want to encourage everybody to keep an open mind. I appreciate the city and the council. Nobody's perfect, everybody makes mistakes, but having an open mind and being willing to sort of imagine something that doesn't currently exist. Because if we get enough minds thinking alike, we can do that. And so just appreciate all of you for taking the time to be here. Appreciate you guys for opening this up to the public. And so I'm thankful and I'm excited, and I think that this is a good step in the right direction for our city, and I'm committed to helping in any way that I can. Thank you.
Thank you for your comment. Anyone else from the north? Nope. Any speakers from the south?
Good evening, Bob Despain, 108 Linwood. I hope to speak on 3 issues. This council has direct control over the city clerk, the finance director, and the interim city manager. First, I believe the most important is TIF, income discrimination against seniors. Senior residents, having previously brought this to your attention. Those over, say, age 65 will not benefit from projects that are made for long-term financing. I realize seniors are given some breaks, but that is not exceeded in the pending redevelopment plan. I further believe it's going way beyond the benefits we receive. It is requested that a vote be taken by the council that the finance officer to provide the best case scenario on senior benefits versus cost. If that is done shortly, it will show, if that is not done, it will shortly it will show the majority really does not care about elderly residents. Secondly, another vote should be taken about A, the clerk's inability to answer 3 simple questions pertaining to interested party registrations, and B, failure to answer my FOI request promptly as the law demands. Finally, about the manager's failure to suspend the Uptown Development Commission director until after her court date on April 13th. For those that you don't know, the female sitting between the 2 males is the party I'm talking about. Police reports show she was arrested for 5 charges on March 4th and was active at the UDC meeting on March 15th. I realize she is not convicted, but I believe the manager should have followed many business practices as well as alleviating the discomfort of all those attending members. Admitted or not, all of those members had to pretend her arrest was no problem. A side issue of the UDC video shows a member interrupted a speaker, and the manager could also supervise that impropriety. Finally, do any of you understand about the council with regarding to the dirt, to the credit cards, and now under the influence that Collinsville is not the preferred place to live? I speak to the mayor by saying he has presided over the city public relations as being the worst in the last 35 years. I can vouch for that, and thank you for your attention.
Thank you for your comments. Anyone else?
Good evening. I'm Bob Green, 1988 Maple Leaf Drive here in Collinsville, and I'm here to convey the opinion of our Unit 10 school board members. By consensus, they are opposed to this new TIF. While we acknowledge that TIF 1, we were given the financial information, we basically have come out okay on that. But TIF 4 is a different animal. We will not have the same kind of guarantees that were under TIF 1. And if you keep up with school finance or any finance in Illinois, you know that schools have been taking a lot of hits. Fortunately, we've had some good school boards in the past that have managed the money wisely. We've had a good surplus, but as you lose money or don't gain money and your expenses go up, your savings go away. So we're fast approaching that. So we're opposed because of the anticipated pressure that a new TIF would create for the school district. And in the coming years, it could create even more of a burden on the school district. But with that said, wanted you to be aware of our opinion, and thank you.
Thank you for your comments. Next.
Good evening. My name is Gary Picola. I am the board president of the Collinsville School District. I wanted to share a little information with you about the school district. We have a $70 million budget. We employ 750 plus employees. And most importantly, we are responsible for the safety and education of 6,500 students. And then out of those 6,500 students, 63% are considered low income. Over the past 5 years, the state has shorted the district approximately $9 million. Our EAV has been going down, resulting in a decline in property tax revenue. Because of the loss of revenue, we have had to make cuts, and we are going to be continuing to have to make cuts. And some of those cuts, unfortunately, included the elimination of 8 teachers through classroom consolidation. We expect we'll also have to eliminate additional staff and positions in the future. We believe the proposed TIF will result in a loss of future revenue for the school district. Any loss of revenue directly impacts the students in a negative fashion. The Collinsville School Board is opposed to the creation of this TIF district. We encourage the city to instead pursue the development of a business district. Now, why I say that is because the city has had success with business districts. You can look out at the Orchard Shopping Center, which is a business district. You can look at the Coles development, which is a business district. You can also look at Collinsville Crossing, which is a business district. We just encourage the city to pursue the business district instead of jumping right into a TIF district. I appreciate your time. Good evening.
Thank you for your comments. Anyone else from the South?
I'm not a good public speaker, so I have written my thoughts down to share with you. My name is Jimmy Smith, and I am one of the owners of L.E. Smith Jewelers, located at 9501 Collinsville Road. In the proposed Southwest Corridors TIF district, we have operated our business in Collinsville for over 50 years and have been very active in a variety of chamber events. My father was always a full supporter of the proposed TIF district. We also supported the previous St. Louis Road TIF district a couple years ago that was never passed. The St. Louis Road, Collinsville Road, and Highway 157 from Collinsville Crossing Shopping Center southward have not seen any new development, growth, or infrastructure improvements in the last 30 years. These corridors are not a hot market for either public or private investment. In fact, I ask you, what new retail development has occurred in Collinsville that if it was not for TIF, or already in an existing TIF or business district? Nothing that I can think of. Can you? Something has to be done now to attract investment along these corridors in terms of both public and private investment without raising the tax dollars of citizens. So I appeal to the city to continue the process to create and ultimately approve the Southwest Corridors TIF district in a timely manner. I believe it will create a stronger border tax base, needed infrastructure improvements, and attract redevelopment by private developers to invest in this community. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments. Anyone else from the South Side?
Bill Ostrowskis, 105 Lexington Drive. Sitting upstairs ain't really ideal. I don't like to look at a screen that you can hardly see. We need a bigger venue for this. Mr. PGAV, what's the difference now, today, than it was 3 years ago?
What do you mean, what's the difference?
Wow, why is it back?
Because the city decided they wanted to pursue this district.
The only big change is on the council and getting rid of our honest city manager. In regard to new residents, when home rule took over, we were at about a little over 25,000. Today, we're right at 25.7. Has not promoted any growth whatsoever. We have no new subdivisions. The existing streets have not improved. The sidewalks have not improved. The only thing that's improved is right here on Main Street, where almost all the TIF dollars go. Some of these people that have received this money, Friday South, 3 times. We're last on the hook for, you're going to help finance the beer garden. Is this the wise use of the taxpayers' money? You do not have our confidence at heart. Mr. Home Federal, I think you make enough money that you don't have to come, or if somebody came to you to improve your heating and air conditioning, that should be on the taxpayer's back. I do not believe in that. Saturday, there will be one fund removed from your place by one of my daughters. The other places that took this money, I don't have to shop there. I don't have to go to Burt's. I don't have to go to the saloons you finance, Home Furniture, Andy's Appliance. I don't have to do it. And neither do the people. You've got to say your piece. And as far as construction in the last 30 years, I think we developed 157 during that time. I think I'm correct. Man's best friend, I think, is a pet, the dog. Our city leaders have not been the taxpayer's best friend, and it should not be this way. We depend on you to make the right decisions for the taxpayers, not for a group of people that benefit from downtown. You see all this stuff, you see the crosswalks, street lights every 100 feet. We have paid money to people. I have asked several times, did we get our TIF money back from the Her Funeral Home? It has since been sold, and nobody tells me that it's been resold. I submitted a FOIA 1 week ago today. I have not received it yet as to where the TIF funds went for the last 10 years. I don't think that's expedient. The last time we was on a roll with developing a soccer center for down below the hill, we took in a new TIF district. We invited and promised all the people that live in State Park, we want you. We are going to give you fire protection, police protection. We're going to make you better people. Haven't heard a word since. Now we don't need them. The housing impact, I think it should have been done prior to this meeting. I think the council, which spent upwards of $40,000 on the last job with PGAV, the taxpayers are responsible for that. I'm a taxpayer, and most everybody out here, I hope, are taxpayers that pay residential property taxes. And now we're doing this thing again. It's on the taxpayers' back. Had the city had most of their TIF funds for the last year since its inception, you would not, I promise you, would not have needed to increase the utility tax like they did. We asked for reductions, maybe going 1%. Thank you all for coming.
Thank you for your comments. Anyone else?
Karen McReynolds. I would like to request that the Joint Review Board would hold a meeting that is going to be convenient for all of the residents. In the evening, I think, would be the best choice instead of 10 a.m. in the morning, so I hope that you take that under advisement. As far as TIF, most proponents of the TIF claim that as an investment in the area increases, real estate values rise. The premise is, therefore, that the cost of improvements will be recovered, jobs will be created, and an improvement of the entire area results. That has not occurred in the Metro East area. Justin Dahlheimer, I pronounced that correctly, Justin Dahlheimer addresses this in his report, Years of Subsidized Retail and Nothing to Do to Show for It, was written in 2009. He references a report that was initiated by the East-West Gateway Board of Directors that studied 15 years' worth of public investment. Dahlheimer states that the East-West report which is entitled An Assessment of the Effectiveness and Fiscal Impacts of the Use of Local Development Incentives in the St. Louis region, concluded that development incentives did not boost tax revenue in the metro, nor did they produce significant job gains. It was reported that retail activity was merely shifted from one area to another. And if you think about that, we had Walmart out on Beltline and several other businesses that moved down to Crossroads. I have that report that I will give you on the dais. It's called, as I said, an assessment of the effectiveness and fiscal impacts of the use of local development incentives in the St. Louis region. And this report outlines $2 billion of public incentives for private development in this region over a 15-year period and addresses TIF and business districts. Another problem with the development is the definition of blight. It has become so misconstrued that very little needs to be proven to be declared a blighted area. Since Collinsville officials are aware of these problems, I conclude the purpose of TIF, at the urging of a few residents, is gentrification. The forced disenfranchisement of lower-income working people from where they have lived 30 to 40 years, and to upset their social and historical claims. Their income simply cannot compete with the increased tax assessment. It is obvious that the city officials adhere to the Marxist approach of gentrification that follows a policy of neglect until the time comes to make policy changes to yield tremendous profits. Once an area becomes attractive as a source of revenue, the powerless residents are displaced with little or no regard for their well-being. In December of 2009, the East-West Gateway News Update stated how some of their participants during a panel discussion suggested St. Louis be more realistic when it measures itself against other metropolitan areas. And there was a quote, it said, "Stop looking at Chicago and wishing for what they have, wishing and yearning for what they have." We could apply that to Collinsville. Stop wishing we were in O'Fallon or whichever town one came from or visited. Please do not create another TIF district. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments. Anyone else?
My name is Hernando Montes. I got my daughter in case they don't understand me, okay? What I had to say, I'm too happy where I live. I lived for 30 years there. I come with nothing, and I'm counting American citizen. I work to buy one house there. Now I got 5 houses. I got 3 daughters and a son. I want to leave one house for each one of those. And now you're telling me I had to move? You guys don't understand how hard it is to buy one house. One for the first one, because we don't have no credit. Back then, 30 years I've been living there, and I'm so happy. I pay all my taxes. Every year, when the taxes due, I had to sell all my scrap metal. I had to sell my junk cars or whatever I had to do to pay you guys. Every year. Every cent I work, I build the house inside, renewing it for my daughters and my sons. And now you guys telling me I gotta kick out of there? I gotta move somewhere else? I don't know where else to go.
I want to clarify that the establishment of a TIF district does not make you move
Well,
at all.
somebody's gonna make them move because they're not gonna stop this. We tried to stop this. Why they don't buy the place when it was 30 years ago was nobody cared for the street. Was a dumpster in there. I clean and clean and clean. I even cut the grass for the state across the street from my houses. I do everything I clean and every day. Nobody cares 30 yeyars ago. Now, when everything is so clean and nice, the investment that want to move in and kick us out? No, it's not right. I got too much to say. Thank you.
If you want to leave me your number, I would be happy to sit down with you and talk about what this means and what this does not.
This
Just
isn't gonna
if you
do
would
any
like
good.
to.
You guys gonna do it anyway. This isn't gonna do any good.
But I'm happy to explain what, some misconceptions that I think that you have. If you would like, you can leave your number and I'd be happy to reach out to you.
You guys know where I live. Everybody know where I live. Nobody cares. You know.
I don't know where you live.
Everybody know my address, and I know this is different. I'm sorry, okay? I'm happy. My daughter, we got gas stations, highway, stores. We got a school. We got everything there. Why you guys want to see everything nice and clean? They want to age us early, nothing. All the money I work for is inside my houses. Everything, any. I don't got nothing for me. The way my daughters, they're not embarrassed of your father. Okay? That's it. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments.
I'm Rob Dorman, and I know where he lives. And there's about 3 million people live within 25, 30 minutes of there. And there's absolutely no reason to put a TIF in. If somebody wants to buy land down there at a fair value and put something in, they'd be doing it. Right now, there's not a development plan. Is there a plan, sir? Is anybody going to put anything in? Is there a Walmart, a Costco, anything coming along? No, no plan is there. I know it because I FOIA'd it. So you're going to go put a TIF in whenever nobody's asking you to. And 23 years from now, whenever maybe somebody wants to, you won't be able to. So I know Jeff Stamen's sitting upstairs somewhere. I guess you don't want to sit down here and see you guys that are all down here. The lady over there said at the Joint Review Board, which is held at 10 o'clock in the morning, so y'all can't come to it, and it needs to be held at night, so you can all come to it and see what goes on. She said the purpose of establishing a TIF redevelopment project area is to promote and protect the health, safety, morals, and welfare of the public. And the people that voted to do the study for this was Jeff Stamen, Cheryl Bromwich, and John Miller, none of which have very good morals, including the lady there whispering in his ear because she got a DUI 2 days after this, and they're going to dictate our morals. They ought to all three resign. So I know that the Chamber of Commerce wants it. I can't blame them. Who doesn't want free money? But there's some problems with TIFs. TIFs, by definition, divert money from schools, parks, and other important services. That's why the school district's here. Schools are what build good communities. That's why people normally move to them. And this is going to take away from them. These people wouldn't be here otherwise. So I hope that you guys listen and that you put the JRB at night and that you have it so that people can come and speak at it. Thank you so much.
Thank you for your comments. Anyone else? Yes, or I can see if we have a portable microphone.
Yes, please. Just bring her right here. I have a mic. It might be easier.
Yeah, let's run over your purse. Okay?
Yeah, you can sell me a new one.
Huh? Yeah, I don't see you much at the jewelry store anymore.
I don't get around much. Good evening, everyone. I'm Pamela Havlin, and I live down here in the area that you're talking about, blighted area. Can't be too terribly blighted since I've been there since 1989. What's that, 27 years? We have improved the property extensively, about $35,000 worth so far in the last 6 years, and that's not change to me. Some of my neighbors don't. But most of my neighbors take care of their property and they cut the grass. They take care of planting their trees and their shrubs. We eat off the land too, and we cook, we can, my husband does. I don't can anything. But anyway, I think we're just biting off, in my opinion, too big a chunk for what we've got. How are we gonna take care of all this that we're trying to chew on? We haven't finished what we had the last time, and we're still going at it. I know that doesn't sound like much, and I'm not a very good speaker, but it's from my heart and it's from my pocketbook. That's the only two things I know how to speak from. And I thank you very much for your patience. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments. Anyone else? Go ahead.
Robert Thiel, Thiel. I live in Arnold Street, along with some of the other people that spoke. First, I'd like to see that joint review board meeting in the evening also instead of 10 o'clock, so we can have a chance to voice our opinions. But a lot of people are asking the same question, and it's right here in the letter. It says, they may involve the displacement of residential units located within the area. You can say what you want about that's not your plan, but it's in the letter. That's why everyone's concerned, okay? I'm on a fixed income. I own my property there. I've been there 40 years. I don't want to move. I want to stay there until I die, actually. You know, I plan on being there for a long time. And it just, why you put that in a letter and then you continually keep saying up there that there's no plan on moving anybody out of this area. But right there is the sentence right in the middle of the letter.
If I may, sir, that's in part unfortunate in my opinion, but the statute says that no matter what the plan is or isn't, as the case may be, if there are housing units within the project area, then you have to provide that statement to people coming to this meeting.
Because you can do it, but you keep saying
Well-
it's not intended. See, that's the whole, that's something like you call it bullshit words or whatever, you know?
Well, I'm simply trying to clarify why the language is in the letter.
Thank you for your comments. Anyone else?
Thank you. I'm Brett Swip, a resident at 102 Timberwood Lane here in Collinsville. I am employed in Collinsville, and I volunteer as the Vice President of the Three Little Birds for Life Cancer Foundation, based in Collinsville, and as the co-founder of the Collinsville Extreme Baseball and Softball Club, also in Collinsville. Today, I am excited to feel pride in my hometown and the boldness that our community leaders are showing around progression and development in our community. I would like to thank the mayor and the council for leading the charge to bring a sense of pride back to our community. I pray that the negativity will stop so that my sons will not be faced with the challenges that many of us Collinsville residents have faced during our young adult years. Our friends leaving our community, the watchdog organizations bashing our community, and the papers feeding off of our internal wars. I was recently in a business meeting with a commercial developer who has actively been involved with recent developments in nearby communities. We spent the morning together last week traveling the western portion of our city. I shared vision for our community, boldness of our leaders, and spoke of hopes in where the leaders of our community are taking us. At the end of the meeting, the developer said, "I haven't been considering Collinsville much for future development and economic growth, but the progress that is starting to be shared is encouraging and makes me think differently about where Collinsville might be heading." I thank you, Mr. Mayor, and the City Council for being bold, implementing change, and showing progression in our community. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments. Is there anyone else?
Thank you for allowing me the time. My name is Pete Hoffman. I am a lifelong Collinsville resident. I am here to support the TIF district, and really for three reasons that I support it. The first being residential. I was born and raised in that area of town. My address was 26 St. Louis Road. Everybody always asks, well, where's that? And you always tell them, well, you know that row of houses on the right before you get to the cemetery? That's where I was born and raised. So I lived and played around that area, Sumner, Hilltop Cafe, Steel Drug Store. Some of you more seasoned folks might remember those businesses. So residentially, I would love to see that area picked back up. The second reason I support it is commercially. When I graduated from Collinsville High School in 1978, my first job was at Fairmount Park Racetrack, working in the parking lot. Some 40 years later, I still work there. I have a real job as well, but I've never left my job at Fairmount Park. Folks, if you don't know this, Fairmount Park is in trouble. Fairmount Park needs this help. At one time, Fairmount Park was our city's second largest employer. That's no longer the case, and Fairmount Park would definitely help them succeed with this TIF district. My third reason is for recreational reasons. I started playing Corey League down at the complex in 1968 when I was a kid. I put both my kids through the CBSL leagues. I, along with Brett, am the co-founder of the Collinsville Extreme. I also was the girls softball head coach at Collinsville High School for 8 years. The complex also needs our help. We have many people who are wanting to come to our community and participate in our leagues and tournaments, but we have a hard time selling that area right now to the competition that is also in the area. So residentially, commercially, and recreationally, I think this is needed. And the reason I want to speak on it, because I live here, I work here, and I play here. And I want this city to move forward. Thank you for your time.
Thank you for your comments. Is there anyone else?
Good evening, everyone. My name is Jennifer Doring. I'm a resident at 304 Dana Drive here in Collinsville. I'm the owner of Turn 2 Sports Training, as well as the owner of CrossFit Collinsville, both located in the Eastport Plaza corridor. I'm here in support of the efforts on the economic development and business progress that the council is showing. When selecting a locale for my business 9 years ago, it was exciting to see the progress that this community was going through in the Eastport Plaza and Collinsville Crossing area. Collinsville was one of 3 communities that I was looking to build my business and my home. Our community's progress around that time was a major impact on my decision to be here in Collinsville. Unfortunately, the perception of things stalling out in this community has been a common discussion point within our customers and my business. We are up for lease renewal with Monty Development Company in Eastport Plaza this upcoming year. Turn 2 and CrossFit Collinsville have been curious on the traffic numbers that Collinsville is generating around youth sports and overall tourism. I am encouraged by the recent efforts of the mayor and this council to again show forward thinking around economic development. I'm hopeful that Collinsville is my business and my resident home forever. Thank you very much.
Thank you for your comments. Is there anyone else?
My name is Shannon Yinger, and I live at 1113 State Street in Collinsville. I moved here about 18 years ago from Cahokia, which is, we all know, a town that is disintegrating, and I don't want to see that happen to Collinsville. I am in full support of the TIF. I'm an employee at Worldwide Technology and the mother of 2 children that play in the Collinsville Extreme Baseball and Softball Club. My daughter is a student at Collinsville Middle School, and my son is a student at Collinsville High School. I'm also a member of the tournament committee for the Extreme, and have had a snapshot into the tournaments and events and opportunities that building that area could bring to this town. It's our goal to bring 400 teams through those fields this year. So with that, over the next 5 years, that could bring 1.5 million people through Collinsville. I believe that if the area is built with restaurants and nice tourism places, people will want to come to our community. Thank you.